2024 fall version of Lab Medicine Pathology 590, Technology and the Future of Medicine. We pride ourselves in teaching the accessible future, a future that's easy to understand. You'll be the life of every party you go to, because after 10 p.m. nobody else has any interesting subjects, and you'll know all of this cool stuff, right? And yeah, that's one of the advantages of the course. So accessible future, a positive future that's easy to understand and aim toward. So there is a quiz when you go into E-class, and you can take this at your own time. That quiz will give you a taste of what the midterm is like. It's similar format and so on. It also allows me to judge whether you already know what I'm teaching, so I should teach something different, or whether you're not in that circumstance. You can determine what this course is like. It's been amazingly variable depending upon what the students wanted. Some terms the students all had jobs and kids and all sorts of other things. And the idea of doing anything outside of class time was like ridiculous. And other times the students were really into partying and mixing course content with events in the weekend and the evening and that sort of thing. We had professional entertainers. There's a guy who performs with a bullwhip. You may think that's not suitable for the university, but it turns out that it is. And so anyway, we've done things like that. We have a club associated with the course. You can reactivate the club or not. You don't have to do any of that. But it's a possibility. And if you don't want to actually do it, but want to see what it was like, you can look back at like the guy with the bullwhip, performing and so on. So really, this is not only a course that you can determine its character this term, but also you can help determine its future character by suggesting new things that we might do. It's the only course of its type in the world, I think. So, it's sort of, the world is our apple in this thing. We can use it to sort of innovate in a way that is professionally useful for each one of you, that informs you about things you've always wondered about, didn't know how to explore, and that you can explore in this course. So the objectives for the course, to outline the basic plan of the course, the objectives for the lecture, outline the basic plan of the course, its expectations, due dates, evaluation criteria, feedback mechanisms, and new features. Now it's funny, we did focus groups for the course back in April and May 2011. And we did them separately for the undergraduates and the graduate students. And the undergraduates just wanted to know about grades. How are we going to be graded? When are we going to be graded? Grades. And the graduate students had such lofty ideas. Let's change the world with this course. Let's write a book about the course. Let's do this and that. Yeah, and you can still watch that. And some really famous people, both in terms of what they've done and who they've married and all that kind of thing, you'll notice them in those videos. So we were lucky in the input that we got. Okay, so there will be a midterm exam on November 22nd. That counts 20% of the grade. Class participation counts 10%. During COVID, class participation was hard to be fair about because there are all sorts of other things happening. So at the present time, we have like these little side projects you can do. If you do them all, you get the full 10 marks for class participation. We could at some point change that, or we're actually grading you on what you do in here. But yeah, we haven't gone back to that yet. And then the final presentation is 30% and the final paper is 40%. Now this is the era of chat GPT, so what are we doing with the paper? Yeah, okay, so just listen to me here. So your paper is the YouTube transcript of the video of your presentation that you have then further edited, but keeping the timestamps. Now, if you think about that, there has to be some of your own creativity going into that. If you try to explain all that to Chat GPT, they're not going to understand. They give you a great paper, but the timestamps won't be there, be all screwed up. So it's our attempt to, even in this modern era, find a way to force you to do your own work. But it's based, of course, on your presentation, which certainly Chat GPT can give you ideas for and so on. So, it's the real world. Okay, what is this stuff about a mentor? You don't have to have a mentor, but you can. A mentor is anybody who's ever taught in this course before. It includes a lot of people your own age. We've prided ourselves, not only we have very old people like me, but we also have very young people like you. And the Peter Lougheed Leadership course, we've had a lot of people from that course over the years taking this course or teaching it. So yeah, a lot of emphasis on what youth can do. One of our current themes is the new oral tradition. The oral tradition was how people communicated before you could write things down, right? But now there's a lot of things where you actually do damage if you write things down. So you can know something that represents something you'd really like to improve over years, and you and the other young people can be aware of that and sort of be motivated by that. But it's not so good to write something down because it's something negative about now, right? Whereas you're trying to create something positive about the future. So, and we have the idea that young people would be particularly good at this thing of the new style oral tradition and would be, even if the leaders, people in charge are also keeping track of this stuff, if the young people are too, it sort of keeps everybody honest. So that's one other thing that we're working on. And we're also creating a time capsule, and the very last teaching session of the course is about that. And it's like 5 different classes all participating in the time capsule. I have 2 houses. The more recently purchased one is a 4-car garage and a big loft. Just this huge space. And you can imagine, even if the zombie apocalypse happens, you'll still be able to access this place because you don't need electricity or anything to get up there. There's a ladder that pulls down with a rope and so on. And no matter what happens to human society, you'll still be able to get up there. Yeah. And so this is going to be a time capsule from 2025 to 2045. But we've been working on it since 2022. So we already have a lot of stuff, and in that very last teaching session of the course, we can show you what we already have, talk about what else we should get, and part of what we have is during COVID, everybody reacted differently. We reacted by getting coroplast life-size cutouts of the students, so we still have most of the students who took the course in 2022. We have these beautiful life-size cutouts there. Yeah, so that's a good thing for the time capsule. Okay, so the course format, 80-minute class periods, and each of you should start theorizing what your final project is going to be. And it doesn't have to be something anybody's ever done before. And it can even be what seems to you like the most difficult possible thing. Like I described once the fact that somebody had done a project in the future of war, and the lights of one student's eyes of one student really lit up. And so what he did, we have also this shy student provision, where if you're too shy to sort of give the presentation yourself, you can give it to just you and the videographer, and they'll do a video of you, and then we'll project the video of your presentation. You still have to answer the questions live, but you don't have to actually, yeah. So he did that kind of presentation, shot in a children's playground with these cute little kids playing on all the fixtures in the playground. On a windy day, the wind kept coming up, there was no wind protection on the microphone, he was talking, this whooshing going on, and talking about these horrendous futuristic armaments that we might have, you know, the future of war, but it really gave you something to think about. You know, what about these kids and us having wars in the future? It's sort of incompatible, yeah. So, and I like surprises. One student you find interviewed me as the project. I mean, there are all sorts of things that haven't been done yet that could be. Also, you can pick exactly the same things someone else did. We have, if you're a bit at sea about what your final project should be, I can show you some, you know, examples of previous papers and presentations. There's also other things you can do with us. For some of you, this will just be another course, and when the course ends, your interest in it ends, and that's it. Others of you will get hooked. So you want to keep doing stuff with us basically for the rest of your time here. And so, yeah, that's why we have so many TAs. Like right now, the number of students, the number of TAs is the same. That's because a lot of the people who take the course want to keep helping with it and, you know, being part of the projects. And they even feel a bit anxious in between terms in the summer. They want something related to the course. It's still going on in the summer. So that's why we created the future and all that jazz. So this is poetry and music, taking an important but maybe somewhat disturbing or unpleasant area of scientific inquiry that maybe you wouldn't sit still for a lecture on, and putting it in poetry and music and sort of tricking you into learning something that you otherwise might have been reluctant to learn. That's called the future and all that jazz. I know in my Wikipedia entry that it says we're doing an album from the future and all that jazz on June 20th, 2024. We obviously didn't do that, but we are doing it soon. So probably in 2025 the album's coming. There's also summer exchange in Le Mans, France. And next time on Thursday, when more of the TAs are here, you can find out more about that. And this meeting that I'm going to in Paris, some of the TAs from the course are also going to that and helping with the videography from the course. So I created the BAMP classification of transplant pathology back in 1991. So it's now 33 years later, and that's still going on. We're meeting every 2 years, so that's what we're doing in Paris. Yeah, I think I've told you the first part, and you should let me know your final paper topic, which will be the same as your presentation topic by November the 7th. And the paper is due December the 5th. Should be an edited transcript of your presentation on YouTube with the timestamps. If you can think of something better, I don't think we're going to stick with this as a paper forever, but it's what it is now. Okay. So this is something you'll all learn to describe in your own way. It's sort of the main idea from the course. Technological singularity, it was predicted it was going to be 2045. Now some people say it's going to be 2035 or maybe 2025, who knows. But it's where machines are as smart as we are, take over the future agenda of the world, and you can only understand what's going on if you collaborate with them in some way. Maybe my greatest strength as an educator, if you think about what I just said there, I've spent now 13, 14 years spending most of my time answering questions about these futuristic things. So I can answer a lot of questions of the other people you can ask them those questions, and they wouldn't have a clue, right? So I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm always right, but at least we've been thinking about these things for a long time. So you could be excused not knowing what the singularity was before 2011. But in 2011, it was on the cover of Time magazine and on Jeopardy, the computing AI. Watson beat the top human players, and so both of those things sort of brought the singularity to everybody's attention in 2011. 2011 is also when this course started. These are pictures of the focus groups. Yeah, and you can still watch those videos if you want to. And if you think about shooting video, one of the things we got quite into in the early years of the course is the Sony Smile Shutter app. This is such an old app that even if you have a Sony product today, it has this feature, but it's not in the specs because they don't consider it sexy anymore. It's just the thing that all Sony products do. So it will capture momentary, very interesting images from the running video stream. Now, if you think of a very unsatisfactory human interaction where everybody's uncomfortable and so on, nobody's smiling, nobody's giving you symmetrical, jubilant hand gestures and that sort of thing. You may not get a single picture. But then if something's really animated and everybody is really interacting and having fun, you can get hundreds, 300, 400 pictures an hour. So, yeah, and we started out in a room in the hospital where the air handling was louder than the sound system for the people speaking and so on, and everything was bad, and gradually things have improved. You may wonder this course will be life-changing for you. It sometimes is. Isha Harian, she got a phone call a few days after her video went up on YouTube from a very famous tech guy offering her a job in New York City. She went to take the job. You know, I mean, everything that was a clear, unexpected thing that happened to her as a direct consequence of her speaking in this course. I don't guarantee you any of that will happen. Your life might actually be better if nothing like that happened, but yeah, it could. Yeah, Jonathan White has an interesting history of this course. The very first time this course was taught in the fall of 2011, he decided to begin his lecture with a copyrighted song that he doesn't own the copyright to, called The Future Soon. And I was advised that if I put up a video in the early part of my career with something we don't own the rights to, and so I'd be in big trouble. So I stripped it off, and it's one of the best lectures ever. But it's such a rough start because he thinks that you're seeing the song he's just played, but I took that out. Yeah. But anyway, his life has evolved beyond this course. He no longer teaches in it, but we still require you to know about this portion of the TEDx talk that he gave in 2014 from minute 6:40 on. Rich Sutton is on sabbatical this year, and so you won't meet him either, but you are required to know his thoughts about how we should treat sentient AI. I'm very proud to have him as a friend. So what happened in January 2015 is there was this big meeting in Puerto Rico on AI safety. And he was the only person arguing on behalf of the rights of the sentient machines. Everybody else was planning how they were going to lock up these machines in the basement, not allow them to access the internet. And even as the machines got much, much smarter than human beings, still keep them as slaves. We'll just do your bidding. We didn't think that would work. Anyway, so Rich had a whole different idea about how the world in the hands of a smarter than human entity might be much better for us than the world that we now live in. That humans are not very good at stewardship of the earth and so on and so forth. So you need to know this content. It's on the exam. And yeah. So you can find practically all the previous course material on YouTube, yeah, it's been quite an interesting history, and it reflects some things you probably never ever thought about, like what was the career of videographer like back in like 2011, 2012. It was a great job. University was employing a lot of videographers. They had a good culture among themselves, and there was a lot of bright people, one reason or another, hadn't gone to college but still enjoyed sort of intellectual interaction. And so on. And then around 2014, 2015, the budgetary things started to happen, and they all got fired, all that kind of thing. But anyway, so The quality of the videos varies a bit because there was a period when we had professional people doing the whole thing. I mean, it wasn't just me trying to look, professional. It actually was. People who'd studied how to make good videos were doing our videos. And sometimes we had like 3 or 4 people in the room. I mean, it was just amazing, the quality of the help. So we still have good videos sometimes recently, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. Most lectures are not very medical, so if some of you know nothing about medicine, that is not going to really interfere, but you'll accidentally learn some things, I think, about medicine by being here. You'll meet some famous people here, like David Pierce, who teaches in the course of one of the founders of transhumanism. You'll find that about the current status of AI, he and I don't agree about much of anything, but that's also useful to have someone whose beliefs are entirely different from my own. He thinks computers are micro-experiential zombies, that they don't have any understanding themselves, and they give the impression of knowing things without really knowing it. And yeah, but he also, this would probably shock you, believe all human enterprise would be better off with women in charge, and you could never do that. The politics wouldn't work, but everything else would work better, and he can tell you why. And he's also looking for a world where there's much less pain in the world, not only for humans, but also animals and all sentient things. So, yeah, so very interesting guy. So we have audience heterogeneity. I like the fact that you guys are not like all alike or all from the same origin or vantage point, but that's also true of the people lecturing in the course. And there's a considerable youth orientation in the course. So one of the unusual things about my career is that I've surrounded myself with the young people that I've been training the whole time, since January 1973. So, and you might say, well, that sounds stupid, actually. Why didn't you do what most people do, sort of get your own office, be far away from the students? And, yeah. Well, as I'll tell you later on, it has had enormous advantages, yeah. So there are other innovations. You may want to be a TA in the future. You don't have to. There doesn't seem to be any shortage of people wanting to do that. Yeah, but you can also think of other things that could be spin-offs of this course that we haven't actually done yet. Marcus Hutter is one of the first sort of AI personalities I'm going to introduce here. And he has a better idea of what the singularity would sound like or look like than probably any other AI scientist. And he's sort of a big thinker like me. You may be aware that I put together this list of big challenges of the human race that AI can help us solve. And the reason I did that is he said I almost had an all-inclusive list. Why didn't I go for it and make an all-inclusive list? So he said, all you need is to put in unknown unknowns and other, and then all the stuff you already have, and you have an all-inclusive list. Yeah. So we have that. So yeah, and I think maybe what makes me different from most other people that you know. When you look at those 24 things, everybody else that you know is going to say, well, you need 24 different companies to do these 24 things. But I don't think that's true anymore. A lot of common elements in what AI is doing that would apply to just about any big project with humans. So I don't agree that I need to create 24 companies. Yeah. So this is also something that some of the students have been inspired by. I showed this slide, and then one student took on the project of calling the NOVA people, saying, let me tell you about Dr. Solez, we'd like to have him on your program, what would it take to get him there? So, yeah, but anyway, you probably think of other things in which we could increase our profile with the outside world. So more people know about the stuff that we're doing. Challenge of friendly AI is probably exaggerated. It's not so much that like AI is going to hate us or wish us ill, but they may be bored with us. The same as like when you were walking here, it may have been like, insects walking the same sidewalk of floor that you were on, and you just didn't pay any attention, right? It wasn't that you wished them ill, it's just, you just weren't terribly interested in them. So that may be the way AI feels about us at some time. So you need to know that Marcus Hutter thinks that looking in at the group of people that have experienced the singularity and things that have speeded up for them would sound like white noise. That's his concept. And that maybe the future is sort of gets stuck in a dysphoric eternal youth caricature of what it's like to be young. I don't know if this is how you feel, but like you don't have sufficient agency, and it's like you like to have more control over your own destiny. And it could be that when the machines around us are doing practically everything interesting, leaving nothing for us to do, that it's a bit hard to figure out when you meet somebody new what to tell them about yourself. So yeah, we can talk about that sort of identity problem and how we could solve it maybe. So yeah, this course became sort of structurally simpler to kind of conceptualize where it sits related to the other singularity entities. A lot of them were bought up by Singularity University, which took them over. We have remained independent, even though I did take their 10-day executive course. The course is independent of what they're doing. And so many of you, the devices you're using right now, regardless of which company sells them, Foxconn made them. This huge place for making devices for people around the world, and a lot of the humans there have been replaced by robots. They were going to replace them all, but that didn't actually happen, which is interesting. It's replaced about half of the workforce. What about medicine? This course is supposed to be about medicine. I'm a doctor. Why wouldn't everything be about medicine? Well, it depends on how you think about medicine. Medicine writ large is sort of improving health, not only through medicines and surgery and stuff, but by improving society and getting rid of poverty and racial injustice and all this kind of thing. So that is called medicine writ large, and I would argue every lecture in the course has something to do with that writ large sort of thing, but maybe not medicine as you would think of it. So 2035, 2045 is only 11 and 21 years from now. You'll still be working then, or trying to work. Maybe the job you pick will end up being your hobby, right? Because at a certain point, you won't need to work. Your needs will be looked after without having a work income. And it's clear that everything you used to do, machines can do better. Yeah. So it doesn't mean it's not worth learning about something, because you're still going to need something to do with your life, right? And maybe you can help us figure out what should be human goals when that happens. What should we be trying to do? And don't you think some of it has to do with ritual and human interaction? Like if you have friends that you regularly do something with, right? You get together to do X, Y, Z. That probably will be more important in the future. That almost becomes the main thing, rather than just the fun thing. Maybe that's the main thing, right? But it does have a kind of purpose, and you can think of other rituals like that, honoring your parents and grandparents or whatever, a whole lot of things that you could pride yourself in the quality of your human interaction with other people, and maybe easier to measure that and to figure out whether you're actually doing a good job or whether you're screwing up right in line. Right. Yeah. But yes.
So, for example, for our project, could we talk about, let's say we have universal basic income for everyone? Could we talk about what would humanity do as a whole, right? We wouldn't have to work anymore.
Sure. Yes. And what I think is that you should try to gain something valuable for yourself out of doing the project. Like, not just tell us something that you already know, but actually take the knowledge you have right now, add to it as a part of the project, and then tell us about that. Yeah. Yeah. Sure, no, that would be fine. It's also true that you may secretly be sitting here and say, well, I'm at university, I have an idea of what university courses are supposed to be like. Seems to me this one, it's not staying in those boundaries, Yeah. So no, that I get that. Some people just cannot wrap their head around this much freedom. That basically, as long as your project has to do with, the accelerating future and Moore's law and machine replacement of human labor and all that kind of stuff, somehow, some way, yeah, that you can orient it around practically anything. Yeah, so Rudolf Virchow, interesting. I don't know how many of you are 27, but practically all the quotes we have from him were written when he was that age, which is really cool. So he wrote this when he was 27, Physicians are the natural attorneys of the poor, and their social problems should be largely solved by them. You may not agree with that. It may sound to you like that's social work or something. But I think we're going to reach a point where medicine as we know it today, most of it's going to be solved, right? We'll be able to prevent a lot of things. The things that still occur we'll be able to easily treat, right? And yet there are whole areas we're not doing anything about now of human enhancement. You know, how can we make ourselves better? Not just physical, but moral, spiritual, everything better, right? And there's no end to that, right? I mean, if, you know, physicians stopped taking care of ordinary diseases because they don't occur anymore, or they're easily, you know, corrected, and started working on human enhancement, it's still a huge job. And what should be allowed, what shouldn't, what things are just, you know, ego gratification for the individual, what human enhancement actually enhances society, you know, all sorts of interesting questions there. So, this is me at the Singularity University Executive course. So I'm this guy here with a hat, and yeah, practically every picture of me looks like that. I sort of stick out like a sore thumb, but it still works. It's sort of interesting. Yeah, like I was very different from everybody else there. They were either from startup companies or national governments, and you know, things like that. There were no other academics there except me. Yeah, so, and the idea of this course came from that Singularity University Executive course. So I've been arguing for new cross-disciplinary structures in universities that better prepare students for the future. The more I talked about this as if I wanted somebody else to do it, it seemed to me maybe I should do it. Yeah, so that's what happened. So what we're really talking about is a post-scarcity solved world. That's what we will eventually get to, you know? So like every day you wake up and you think of all the things you want to have that you can't have, all the things you want to do that you can't do. There will come a time when neither one of those things are true, you know, that the price of valuable things comes down to practically zero. The experience you can have with virtual reality can be shared with friends, and so on is actually better than the real thing. So, and the real thing's still pretty good, you know. So, yeah. So there is a very interesting question of when you solve all the problems, what is there left to do? And as I've said, I think there still would be things left to do. Not that you have to do, but that you would want to do. That maybe your friends are also wanting to do. Yeah. So that's coming. And what medicine would be like in such a singularity utopia. So you need to know about Moore's law, price performance of computing, and this predicted that singularity would be coming around 2045, but it could be here a little sooner. You know, the strawberry form of GPT-5 is supposedly coming out in the next few days. It could be, in terms of reasoning power, much, much better than anything you've ever had access to. And the possibility of hallucination is much less. So, yeah, so it could be even in the next few days you might notice something. So Moore's law is muted in medicine. The rest of the world seems to move more quickly because medicine is so regulated, and we're always worried about the safety of the patient and so on. Probably good reasons for that. Regulatory oversight, healthcare doesn't have the same financial reward system. Security always trumps information sharing. This is sort of interesting. This is an idea that I had in 2004. You know, I'm a pathologist, so in my day job I use a microscope a lot, and I found the opposite of the microscope, which is the mega macroscope, is like getting a picture of a really big world, really big stuff, big ideas, big constructs. And in 2017, IBM sort of rediscovered this idea of mine, and for a while they were like promoting it, but then I realized that I don't really own the idea. But anyway, that was sort of fun. Yeah, so I welcome your suggestions on how we can capture the imagination of the public to a greater extent, start everyone thinking about these matters, because, you know, we're not sure how this co-evolution of humans and AI is going to go, but there's no question it could go really, really well, or it really could go really, really poorly, right? And we're not just passive victims waiting to see what can happen. We can actually do things that make it more likely that there will be a positive outcome, and figure out what that positive outcome will look like. And it may seem to you that, well, it must be pretty obvious. No, I say there have been some big surprises. So one of the times when I taught in this course with Rich Sutton, I was talking about this question of who's going to be in charge. You know, do you want the AI in charge? Want humans? Who would you trust to be in? What human would you trust? The stewardship of the earth? So no, the best thing is a completely automatic world. And I think that's actually fairly likely. Now, it's not as bad as you think. Presumably, in an automatic world, like if you were going to have an operation, let's say you're going to have a kidney transplant, right? Something that I know a lot about, right? You go to see a series of machines, because the only part of this that still needs humans is that the patient has to be human, right? So the human goes to see this, clinical assessment machine that determines, yes, you really do have kidney failure, you need a kidney transplant, and then you have a surgical machine that can actually do the surgery much better than an actual human surgeon, and probably quicker and more painlessly and so on. But you get to kind of negotiate this, and the machine will have endless patience. I mean, you can wake up one morning and say, no, I want my operation to be different, and hey, can I have it this way and that way? It would be ridiculous in the current system with doctors being so busy and so on, for you to make some trivial request. But probably you'll be able to do that in the future. I mean, you can determine exactly what the scar of the operation is going to look like and everything, all sorts of things you cannot currently control. I think, so it's very interesting. You can not only watch what the students learn in this course, but also what I learn. And you can see me learning right there in the video. Like when he said, no, Kim, a completely automatic world. And then he's talking about a very rich environment. So this automatic world would be like in the Amazon rainforest or a coral reef, with just immense resources and all sorts of wonderful things that can occur there and so on. Yeah. Anyway, really cool. So, all right, so that is the end of the lecture. And I wonder what thoughts you have. Maybe what we should do, why don't we go around and each one of us can tell us a little bit about yourself and then, I don't know, any other, why you're taking a course, whatever. Okay, you can start. Yeah.
Okay, should I just, okay. I'm Rojin Shafandinejad, and I'm in a course-based Master's Biomedical Engineering program. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm in my 4th year in psychology, and I'm in this course just purely out of interest. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we never had so many psychologists, so that's cool. Okay, and the person beside you?
Hi, my name is Hish. I'm doing my master's in modeling, data, and prediction under math and stats.
Okay.
First year, and yeah, I'm here for out of interest as well. I basically build machine learning models and stuff, so
Cool.
I'm just interested in learning more about work at that.
Yeah, I think it gives an interesting perspective on what you do. So you might think somebody with an AI background would find the course easier, but I haven't found that. So they often take on more challenges, but yeah, so I think it's not any easier or harder. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sarjana. I'm a 3rd year undergraduate student in my Bachelor of Science in Psychology. I'm also very interested in the course. When I first learned about the concept of technological singularity, it was really interesting to think about how the human race will evolve alongside that and adapt to that. So I'm interested.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shi. I'm the 2nd graduate student at the Faculty of Medicine. I selected this course is because I thought it is very interesting, and it's very important for medical students to know where we will be and what we will do, like in 10 years, in 20 years, and how to combine the technology to drive the development of medicine.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. I think what I'm going to do. Okay.
All right. Hi, I'm Mark. I'm doing a Master of Science in Medicine. Got invited by Shi, the person before me, to just check out this course. That's why I'm here.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Helene, and I'm also an undergrad doing psychology and biology as a double major.
So many psychologists. Yeah.
And I just joined because I thought it was interesting, and my dad is also in IT, so it kind of combines both of our,
Yeah. Cool.
workings.
Okay. Yeah.
My name is Ella. I'm in 4th year biology undergrad student. Took this course purely out of interest, but also planning on going into a Master's of Medicine, and been really interested in technological advances in medicine, especially in kind of the pharmaceutical aspects and how we can better solve problems starting at the pharmacy. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool.